Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We are discussing Tarleton State University's master's program in English, and I am pleased to be joined today by the faculty coordinator for the program. As she is going through her presentation, I ask that if you have questions, please go ahead and submit those using the Q&A box or the chat box, and we will handle those at the end. But for now, I will just turn things over to Dr. Barrett.
Hi, everybody. I'm Janelle Barrett. I'm the graduate director, probably the second time I've done this. So I hope I know what I'm doing at this point. I've been with Tarleton for probably 25 years, and once again, I hope I know what I'm doing at this point. I'm excited to discuss the program that we have. We've ramp some things up and have a much more broad program than we used to have. In terms of just general admission requirements, we have eliminated the GRE and require a 2.75 GPA or higher for admissions. Typically, what you do is apply to the graduate college, and once they've vetted your material, they send it to me, and I vet it. And once that, or we actually have a committee that does that. And once we do that, we'll invite you to apply to the English department program. And that was where we require 3 academic or professional letters of recommendation and a writing sample. Typically, it's a research paper or a professional long report, something that shows that you can maintain a sustained academic argument and how you document that. And once accepted, we get you started with courses. We typically have a deadline of 1 week prior to the start of the semester, and we admit fall, spring, or summer. And as soon as we get those materials and can get those vetted, we can get you started on classes. Now, we have a program that is completely online. We do fall and spring courses in 16 weeks, and our summer courses run 8 weeks. And those are very popular given that we have a lot of teachers in the program. It is a 36-hour program, and we do require a foreign language as a liberal arts course and program. That foreign language component is very important. If you don't have a foreign language when you come into the program, we can certainly help you get leveling courses in order to be able to do that. And there are loads of places that can do online courses in that can assist with that particular requirement. We have 2 tracks. One's a non-thesis and one is thesis. If you are on the thesis track, you're going to work with faculty who are experts in their field. Typically, you'll choose a chair, and then the chair will help you choose 2 other people to be in your committee. That particular course option requires 30 hours of coursework and then 6 thesis hours. You still do comprehensive exams. There is a thesis that's written and an oral defense once that thesis is completed. And generally, that's when we finish the defense, and you can then call yourself a master's student, because typically, once you get to the defense stage, you're ready to go, right? We work with you writing the thesis, and it's not going to be one of those things where, oh, you do a defense and you might not be ready. You'll be ready by the time you do the defense, and then that's typically the terminal point for the thesis option. Non-thesis track is 36 hours. You work with the same faculty. They will prepare you to work through your comprehensive exams, which are typically taken depending on when you want to graduate, November or April or July. And we prepare you for those. You'll take a class that will help you do some mock tests and get ready to do the exam session. We also have graduate assistantships, which are pretty useful in terms of the exposure that you get to working in the Writing Center and teaching. There are some research assistantships that are possible, and there are even some administrative graduate assistantships that are possible. So a lot of our students who aren't here to be able to teach per se will do an administrative assistantship. And we had one who was, I think, stationed in Seattle, and she worked for us and did some administrative work, and that got her through her graduate degree. Our teammate possibilities for secondary certification, that's changed up a little bit, but there is the idea that you can take the English graduate degree and couple that with some secondary courses so that you can get certified to actually teach in the secondary system. Now, the areas of study, there are two tracks, two major tracks, and both of those carry either thesis or non-thesis. You have a literature track and then a technical communication and rhetoric track. So a lot of our folks who are already teachers in the secondary system will start our program, and that's with an eye to get a master's degree. Typically, they'll go the literature track because they want to teach dual credit in the secondary system, and that's probably the major drive of a good number of our members in the program now. Because it's a way to sort of leverage what you're doing, even the cost of the master's degree, because if you're teaching dual credit, usually there's a pay bump. There are a lot of districts where they might help you pay for the education as you're getting prepared. And then, of course, with the master's degree, at that particular point, you can also look to move laterally over into adjuncting in a community college. And some folks find that, 5, 6, 7 years later, they want to work with a different audience of people, and they come into the community college, and into universities like ours and teach those lower level core courses. It's a pretty straightforward degree as far as the literature is concerned. We have options in modern lit, Brit lit, American lit. There are some post-colonial lit courses. You can really kind of mix and match the kinds of literature courses that you want to take. We'll talk a little bit more about the requirements here in a little bit. Technical communication and rhetoric is a bit broader. It certainly applies to those who want to teach as well, because technical writing, as it's known in some of those lower level courses, is typically offered at the high school level as well. So that's kind of an up and coming course. But the benefit of technical communication and rhetoric is that you can apply those courses in a corporate capacity. And once you show that you have some, like a master's degree with technical communication, technical writing, professional writing, lots of names that go with that. The corporate setting is a place where you can take that particular degree and really turn that into a lucrative position, because those technical writing jobs are, depending on what companies, Lockheed Martin, a lot of those manufacturing companies in like the Dallas, Fort Worth Metroplex, those places will have lots of need for technical writers specifically, and those are usually pretty lucrative jobs. Corporate training, work in communications through the medical field. Those are places where those particular degrees are, or that particular degree is really well applied. And again, a lot of composition teaching and those kinds of things are sort of a foundation of that and sort of an offshoot as we go as well. So rhetoric as a broad sense, or in the broad sense, is a focus of the course, that particular track. And the technical communication is a more specified, very corporate oriented area, but it certainly is, it's a fast growing field, and that's kind of exciting about that as well. So the technical communication courses, as we have the degree laid out now, typically has a core of things like studies in the English language, the history of rhetoric, 1 or 2. We do specific seminars in professional writing, technical editing, ethics in professional writing. Both degrees, both literature and technical communication, will do methods of bibliography and research, which might seem like that's a kind of a lit-based thing, but really when it comes to the ability to do research and white papers and those kinds of things, it's just as applicable in the technical communication arena. Thesis topics. Our folks have gone really just run the gamut. A lot of our folks will do topics that are in teaching composition, especially if they're in the secondary system. But we rank through women's studies, rhetoric and linguistics, graphic novels, even modern society from a pop culture kind of exposure, medieval literature. We've had folks who take medieval literature and compare it with some of the more modern types of literature as well. So you can really do anything you want to do when it comes to the thesis topics. And that's where the committee choice comes in. Your chair generally is going to have some expertise in that particular area that you're interested in, and then they can help you flesh out the rest of the committee with two other members who would be able to accentuate what you're doing. And sometimes we have folks who work in the technical communication field, but their interest lies in some kind of literary connection. And so we have a nice mix of tech com people as well as literature folks. And so that area, when you decide to go the thesis route, can be extremely interesting. And one of the things that we always tell our students is that you need to be really, really invested in and interested in what you take on as a thesis topic, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to really hate it by the time you get finished with it, but that only lasts about 5 minutes. So it's a pretty wide-ranging area. So the coursework is laid out in our webpage. We've got the it's a pretty, I kind of like to call it a freewheeling degree, as they are set up in terms of the professional writing and the literature track as well. So you've got the core courses that you need to take, the studies in the English language right through the methods of bibliography. And then you can do electives, 12 hours of electives, which is anything you want. So once you kind of get an idea what you think you might want to do, generally this is like the first 18 hours. So you spend your first year taking those courses as they're offered that are listed, and then you kind of get an idea for what it is you want to do if you're going to do a thesis, and that's where some of those elective courses can come in, and so you can start blending things together. Special problems course is going to put you in a position to write your proposal for your thesis, and then those 6 hours after that are thesis hours are going to be actually spent writing the thesis. So for a non-thesis track, both literature and professional writing, generally you get the same core in both of those areas. It's just that you're taking more hours. So there's only one directed reading course in the non-thesis option, and that prepares you for the comprehensive exams, because both tracks will do the comprehensive exam as well. And really, that exam is just an opportunity to take everything that you've learned in the master's program and to put it to where you're answering specific questions and doing kind of a mini paper. It's an exercise in really synthesizing all of the work that you've done as a master's student and putting it through the sort of filter of writing. Generally, you answer 3 questions, and it's a session where you've got about 3 hour writing sessions, and it can be a little bit grueling, but anytime you're sitting down and writing for 3 hours, that's going to be a bit of a challenge. But it shows how you take what you've learned and how you synthesize that information in your own specific way. And that's really what the basis of a master's degree is all about. You're taking the coursework, but you have your own spin. And as long as you can make a contribution to the field, which sounds intimidating to begin with, but 9 times out of 10, once you get into it, it's not really that scary. Because generally you'll find some place where you think, somebody needs to study that further. And guess who that somebody is? That's generally you. So So if you have any questions, there's my information. I can be reached at tarleton.edu, jbarrett@tarleton.edu. I have a an office phone that I'm generally there to answer. Usually email is the best way to get in touch with me. We have a brand new department head, Dr. Ann Woodmeyer, and she would be happy to answer any questions for you with regard to graduate questions as well. So her information is there also.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barrett. It's been very helpful to have you walk us through an overview of this program. To our live audience members, if you do have questions, feel free to go ahead and submit those via the Q&A box or the chat box, and we will handle those shortly. And while we're waiting for those to come in, I did want to ask a few questions of my own. In terms of the admissions process, you did mention that recommendation letters are required. What are you hoping to get from those recommendation letters?
Generally, we get a feel for the applicant's ability to do graduate level work and um, the desire. A lot of times, folks will comment about how an individual may have been working to obtain a master's degree for quite a while, or we get an understanding of the individual's um, situation in terms of why they want the degree, what they want to do with the degree. Because it's not a light matter to jump off and get a master's degree. And while we are there to help, if folks have a good support system, we can kind of see that that's the case too with those letters of recommendation. It's interesting the kind of information that you can glean from those, really.
Mhm, thank you. And then a writing sample is involved, and I would imagine your applicants are coming from a wide variety of situations. Some people who are straight out of undergrad. I mean, there are probably likely people who've been out of college for many, many years. What advice can you give them in terms of how to choose a writing sample that will be helpful to their cause of getting admitted?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because I do run into a lot of people who say, gosh, the last time I wrote a paper was like 20 years ago.
Right.
And that's not unusual. A lot of the time, what I'll do is provide a prompt that is a lengthier discussion of what brings you to get a master's degree, what you want to do with the degree. There is an essay portion. It's a small essay portion for the college admission process. And it's what we would like is sort of an expansion of that. If we have to go to a prompt that you're kind of starting from scratch, you kind of have already started that with the college program or with the college application process. So what that can do is give us an idea of the level of writing skill and the level of care and attention with some of the mechanics and the basics, so that we do get a better idea of who you are as a potential student. And so that's very helpful as well.
Right. I often get asked about assistantships, and you mentioned that there are administrative assistantships, research assistantships, teaching assistantships through the English department. How would someone put their name in the hat to be considered for those?
Yeah, that's a simple question of just inquiring to me or the department head, probably me, more directly. Um, just say, I'm interested in an assistantship. Do you have anything available? And we can take a look at the student's situation and see what would be the most applicable, appropriate placement for that student. Sometimes it's a question of, if somebody's in another state, then they could get some experience working with our writing center to do some of the online work, because we have a face-to-face component, and then we have an online system where students can submit their papers. And a lot of our out-of-state folks will do that. Um, if you're really, really interested in teaching and teaching online, then we would typically pair you with somebody who is teaching online in the particular area that you're interested in. Um, so it's a small enough program that we can be very flexible in what we do. Like I say, the student that did the administrative work just happened to be the right person at the right time when the department head at the time had some number crunching basically that he needed doing. And that student being off in Seattle was sort of prime for being able to do that kind of thing. So there's a lot of flexibility there.
Yes, I met that student. She was amazing and she really was very impactful uh
Yes.
in the work that she did for Tarleton.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's, it was so helpful to hear you talk about the kinds of topics that people are researching in their master's thesis. I was just curious, what percentage of students write the thesis and what advice you have in terms of how would someone pick a chair for their thesis committee?
Okay. Um, the best advice I can give is to again make sure that the thesis topic is something that you're really, really interested in. We have probably a majority of folks who go with our non-thesis options simply because so many of the students that come into our program are coming in to add to that secondary certification that they have, and they want to do dual credit. And so they're already working, they're already in a position where they have a lot of time to, or don't have a lot of time to devote to a thesis per se. Although I am working with a student right now who's in secondary education, and she's decided, yep, she wants to do a thesis in history of the English language kinds of topics. So some people are gluttons for punishment. I don't know. But the best advice I can give is take that first semester, first year of classes, about 18 hours, and it doesn't have to be 18 hours. I mean, if you're teaching, you're not going to do 9 hours a semester, but um, you take your first couple of courses and you get a feel for what topics you like and what professors you've been able to work with, and usually it's a question of who do you like? And it doesn't have to be a popularity contest. It's just, gosh, I like that stuff that you taught, or I like what you said in class, or how you approach things. And maybe it's not a topic that you're that interested in, but it's an individual that whose work ethic and course you enjoy, or something along those lines. It really does boil down to being something so it seems counterintuitive, right? I mean, just go with what you really, really like, because I can guarantee you that when you're working, as long as you have to work on a thesis and as intently as you do, if it's not something that you truly have an affinity for, it's going to get old and tiring after a while, and it's going to come through in the work that you do as a thesis. And anybody can tell you who's written a dissertation, and these are all the folks that you work with in the graduate program. Um, there is an intensely personal, very deeply held uh, reason or attraction that got them to this particular area, to this particular topic. And we tend to think of that as being very erudite and very intellectual and very analytical. And it's really a lot more emotional. The whole reason I got into linguistics was because I grew up with a mother who grew up in Oklahoma, and my mother's English. And I had friends who always said, "Why does your mother talk funny?" Um, and that got me interested in dialects. And I ended up with linguistics because everybody did lit, but I wanted to go with something a little different, and it was linguistics. And I ended up doing a dissertation on how come dialects are funny. And this is my entire youth as I grew up, and it was stuff that was intensely personal to me, but by the same token, I could turn it into an area of study. And I think that is one of the best foundations for what you do in graduate work, whether you use that to go on to PhD work, and a lot of our students have done that as well, because you're going to be living with it for a long time, and it's going to be going to have to be interesting to you in lots and lots of ways in order to make it work.
All right, thank you so much. So I just want to clarify for people on the thesis track, their 6 hours of thesis coursework would be the last 2 semesters.
Yes, you do the directed reading in your next to the last semester. And generally, your coursework is all done and dusted, and then those 6 hours in the final semester is dedicated to the thesis. And that doesn't mean you're locked into those 6 hours either. I mean, I can't tell you how many folks have gone on to do another 3, 6 hours of thesis work like during the summer, because while you have a good plan and you have a good idea of what it is you want to do, and you and your committee are really rocking and rolling the way they're supposed to, sometimes it takes longer than 6 hours. And if that's the case, that's the case.
And then at what point does the comprehensive exam come? Is that the final semester as well?
It can be. A lot of the time we will do, if your thesis option, it will be the semester before your last. So the comps are out of the way by the time you're doing the thesis. If you're non-thesis, a lot of the time that last semester, next to last semester, it's a bit flexible, but I try to get those in the next to the last semester just so that we can make sure that we hit all the deadlines.
Yes. So everyone, regardless of whether their thesis or non-thesis, takes the comprehensive exam.
That's right.
Okay. And then is the program 36 hours as well for the non-thesis track?
Yes, you'll do a full 36 hours of coursework, and that directed reading is one of those
Okay.
36 hours.
Very good. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for this overview. It's been very thorough and very helpful. I didn't
More than
see
welcome.
any questions from our live audience members, but I do want to mention that the recording of this webinar will be available to review on demand on the College of Graduate Studies YouTube channel. So please feel free to rewatch as needed. And also feel free to share this recording with others who might benefit from being a student in this program. We would love to have them come and join us here at Tarleton State University. And so with that, I think we can end our webinar. Thanks to everyone for your time today. Thanks, Dr. Barrett, for your time today.
More than welcome.
And with that, we will end our webinar.